Okay, this person says, you mentioned you were no longer an atheist. Could you please expand? Can you elaborate on you not being an atheist anymore? Okay. First thing I want to mention there, yeah, I was an atheist for, I don't know, maybe 40, 40 plus years of my life since I was born. I was born in an atheist home. We were not just regular middle of the road atheists. We were militant atheists. We joined American atheists almost at its founding in the 60s. Okay, my mother and father, they were militant atheists. Okay, and so I was born in that environment, and it takes a long time to come out of these religions. I was into communism. It took a lot to come out of communism. It took a lot to a lot of thinking, a lot of comparing, a lot of philosophizing, I guess you could say, to come out of those religions. And so where do we put atheism today? At least rational science, okay? So here it goes. I hope I can offend as many people as I can here. These are all religious fanatics as far as rational physics is concerned. Theist, person who believes, knows that God exists. Atheist, a person who believes, knows that God doesn't exist. And there's a big debate there. I'm not going to go into it today about, whether an atheist is a belief system, okay? Whether an atheist is someone who believes, or a system of belief, etc. There's big. The atheists don't want to accept that they have a belief system, okay, and that's where the battle is. But that's a big battle. Okay, I'm not going to go into that right now. Agnostic, a person who doesn't know whether God exists or holds that God's existence cannot be proven, or anything along those lines. And we put all these groups together with the Hare Krishnas, the Jehovah's Witnesses, fundamentalists, fanatic Muslims. They're all the same. As far as we're concerned, all these people belong in the same boat. And you say, well, why is so? Well, what other possibility is there, right? I mean, it looks like we covered every base. You either believe, you don't believe, maybe you believe, maybe you don't believe. Then what else is there, right? Okay, so let's put it in the right context here. Here we have it. The problem is hypothesis. That's what it is. And right now, nobody knows what a hypothesis is on the entire planet. If you look up the word hypothesis, and I mean, you do research on it, not just look it up and say, okay, I know what a hypothesis is. No, I mean, if you go out there and look at comments and really do a research on the word hypothesis, no one has any idea. Everybody has a different idea. These are just examples that I pulled out of different notions that we have of the word hypothesis. An objective or purpose, okay? An investigative proposal or question, a prediction or testable statement, an assumption or guess, an explanation, a theory, data analysis. Hypothesis, all that? Jesus. Is an assumption the same thing as an explanation? Is a prediction the same thing as data analysis? Are all these synonyms? See, people have all these notions of the word hypothesis, and obviously no one has any idea what a hypothesis is. You wouldn't be able to define it precisely according to today's science, contemporary science, okay? So, yeah, we differ a little bit there, and that's going to come in handy to explain a little bit about God, but let's find out what a hypothesis is in the alternative, which really has to do with the rational scientific method, okay? So here it is. This is the rational scientific method, so you have a point to compare with, okay? Again, doesn't mean you agree. We never agree in science. What we do is we fight, okay? We fight until someone dies, okay? Hypothesis. The word means assumptions. It includes the object's definitions and the initial scene or frame, okay? Do you see any provision for prediction, for objective or purpose, for explanation in any of those? Objects, you name the objects that you're going to use. This is for physics, okay? The objects that you're going to present, the ones that are going to be the main actors in your theory, the definitions that you're going to use, you're going to make them very crisp, very rigorous. The initial scene, so you show the first frames of the film, and then what continues is the theory based on all these assumptions, on these suppositions. What you have is, in physics, you're going to explain a mechanism or a cause, and then you're going to interpret that for the crowd, your personal interpretation, and have some corollaries or whatever. Okay, so you can see that we have a different notion of what a hypothesis is than all these other folk. Okay, and again, you don't have to agree, you just have to define the word hypothesis for me in a way that you can use it consistently, scientifically, rationally. Okay, and yeah, so God cannot be can never be a theory. God is like a chair. Can a chair be a theory? No. You point, you say chair, now you're going to use it to explain, I don't know, how the window broke. You say, let us assume there was a chair, and Johnny took the chair and broke the window with it. And you can assume that it was a brick or maybe a crowbar. So now you have the element that was used, but that's not a theory. The theory is what he did with it. And God, in a similar way, you cannot say, I believe that God exists. I don't believe that God exists, partly because the word exist has no provision for belief. That's the first issue. But the next one is that you cannot say that God is a theory. God can only be a hypothesis under those definitions. Okay? God can only be an object. And you have to define the terms that you're going to use, and then you create the initial scene. And you can use God to explain why this world was not created by God, or you can use it to explain why the world was created by God. You can explain whatever you want after that. But God himself, poor man up there, he cannot be a theory. He can only be an object. He can be an actor, not a theory. And that's where we differ with atheists, theists, and agnostics. All these people are confusing theory with hypothesis.